I was just thinking today about this really strange thing that happens in our minds when it comes to money.
Oh, yeah. What kind of thing?
Well, think about what happens when someone gets a massive windfall, like someone who wins the lottery or gets a huge payout all at
Right,
once.
the kind of money that should just set you up for life.
Exactly. You would think they are just completely set, but if you look closely, so many of those people end up right back at their exact starting point within a few years.
Yeah, it just vanishes, like it was never even there.
It really does. But then on the flip side, you have these incredibly quiet people, like your totally boring neighbor who works a normal everyday job.
Blending in, driving an older car.
Yeah, just living this completely normal life. But somehow, underneath it all, they're quietly building up this fortress of wealth and security.
It is such a weird contradiction, isn't it? It really messes with how we view success.
It totally does. And
Yeah.
it makes me wonder what is actually going on in our heads. Because the way we learn about money is just, well, it is completely backwards.
Oh, for sure. Because we only ever see the spending. We never see the saving.
Right. We see the shiny new cars on the road. We see the crazy vacations on social
We
media.
see the designer clothes, the huge houses.
And our brains just wire those visible things to the idea of being wealthy. We confuse the act of spending money with the actual presence of wealth.
Which is the ultimate trap.
Hmm.
Because keeping your money is totally invisible. Nobody gets a dopamine hit from watching someone else transfer funds into a savings account.
No, nobody is posting screenshots of their index fund deposits on social media to flex on their friends.
Exactly. And so we end up living in this massive anti-wealth highlight reel. We see someone buy a luxury car, and our brain just screams at us to get that same reward.
It really does scream at you, and that is the part that I always wonder about. If our biology is pushing us so hard to spend to get that visible reward, does that mean those quiet, boring people just have, like, superhuman willpower?
That is the big question, right?
Mhm.
But the real answer is actually kind of a relief. It is not about willpower at all.
Wait, really? It isn't?
Not at all. Willpower is a terrible tool for building long-term habits. You run out of it way too fast.
Yeah, I usually run out of willpower by like 2 in the afternoon.
Right, we all do. What is really happening is just basic human biology. Our brains put a massive value on a reward we can grab right now.
Because tomorrow is not promised, right?
Yeah.
Like a caveman instinct.
Exactly that. Spending money triggers our reward system right away. Buying a new phone gives you a rush today. Putting money away for 20 years gives you absolutely zero chemical reward right now.
So it feels amazing to spend, and it feels like nothing at all to save.
Yeah, or it even feels like a loss. So it isn't a character flaw when we fail to save. We are literally wired to consume resources the second we find them.
That makes so much sense. But then how do those quiet people actually do it? If they don't have super willpower and they have the same caveman brain, how are they keeping the money?
They just have a deep awareness of that mental trap. They know the impulse is going to come. They just create a space between feeling the urge to spend and actually doing it.
Okay, but how do you build a mindset that actually trusts that future? Because saving feels like you're just throwing money into the dark.
That is a huge piece of the puzzle. It all comes down to trust. Think about that old idea where you put a sweet treat in front of a kid.
Oh, like the marshmallow thing.
Yeah, exactly. They tell the kid, if you wait a little bit, you can have 2 treats instead of just 1.
And the kids who wait end up doing better in life or something like that.
That was the old story, yeah. But when people looked deeper into that whole idea, they found something way more interesting. The waiting wasn't just about patience. It was about trust.
Trusting the person giving the treat.
Exactly. If the kid came from a home where promises were broken or things were unstable, eating the first treat right away is actually the smartest choice.
Wow. Yeah, because why would you wait for a second treat if you don't trust the adult to actually bring it back? You might end up with nothing.
Right, and if we bring that to how we handle money as adults, it is the exact same thing. People only delay their spending if they deeply trust the system they're saving in.
That is so profound. If I don't trust that my money is safe, or if I'm secretly terrified that the whole economy is just going to crash, why would I save anything?
You wouldn't. You would just book a vacation today while you know you can still enjoy it.
Right, because my brain says, at least I get the memories before it all falls apart. So to beat that instinct, we have to build an environment we actually trust.
Yes, and then, this is the real secret, you have to completely remove yourself from making the daily choices.
What do you mean remove yourself? Like hiding the money?
Pretty much. Getting out of your own way by putting the whole thing on autopilot. Taking the choice away from your daily mood.
Ah, so you don't have to wake up and decide to be disciplined every single morning.
Exactly. Think about how retirement accounts work at most jobs. If people have to fill out a form to join the plan, most of them just never do it. The friction is too high.
Right, because filling out paperwork is boring and the reward is 20 years away.
But if the company just signs everyone up by default, and you have to fill out a form to quit the plan, suddenly almost everyone stays in.
Because then quitting is the thing that requires effort.
Yes, the mental energy flips. The most successful quiet savers just remove the decision from their path. They put the money away before it ever hits their checking account.
I hear that, and it sounds amazing, but I can also hear people thinking, well, that sounds great if you make a ton of money.
Oh, the income argument. I hear that all the time.
Yeah, like, isn't putting things on autopilot just a luxury for the rich? When things are tight, how do you even find a dollar to hide from yourself?
It is such a common fear. But when you really look at the lives of secure people, their total income is actually a pretty bad predictor of their wealth.
Really? But earning more has to mean you are richer, right?
You would think so. But the quiet wealth comes from the percentage you keep, not the gross number you make. There's so many high earners out there who are completely broke.
Because they just scale up their lifestyle the second they get a raise.
Exactly. They get a huge bump in pay, and suddenly they need a nicer car, a bigger house, nicer dinners. It is called lifestyle creep.
So if you spend everything you make, no amount of income will ever save you.
Never. Because your mindset hasn't changed. You are still just reacting to the visible world.
Okay, so let's get real for a second. Let's say someone is listening to this and they are stuck in that cycle. They spend what they make, they look at their bank app and just feel this heavy stress.
That silent panic, it is so common.
Yeah, that quiet dread. How does someone actually step out of that without feeling like they have to punish themselves? Because pulling out a spreadsheet and slashing your life to zero sounds awful.
It does sound awful, and that is why most strict budgets fail. But there is a much gentler way to start, and it is entirely based on how our minds work.
Okay, I am all ears. What is the gentle way?
You just track the spending. You don't try to change anything. You don't restrict yourself. You literally just write down what you spend or use an app to watch it.
Wait, you just look at it. You don't try to stop buying things.
Nope, you just observe your own habits. Because there is a funny quirk in human psychology. When a behavior is being watched, it naturally starts to change.
Oh, wow. It makes me think of walking into a really messy room, but the lights are off.
Right. In the dark, you can just pretend the mess isn't there.
Yeah, you just ignore it. But the second someone flips on the light switch, you don't even need a grand plan to clean the whole house. You just naturally start picking up a sock here, moving a cup there.
Just because you can finally see it clearly? That is exactly how tracking your spending works. The lights come on.
So you start noticing things.
Yeah, I had a friend who did this. He was making great money, driving a really nice leased car, but he literally had nothing saved. The stress was eating him alive.
So what did he do?
He just turned on the lights. He started tracking his baseline spending. And within a few weeks, he realized he was paying for all these streaming services he never watched.
Oh, the digital drain? The phantom costs?
Exactly. Phone apps he forgot about, food delivery fees that were just insane. And he didn't sell his car or start eating nothing but rice and beans.
He didn't go to extremes.
He just quietly canceled the stuff he wasn't using anyway. It was maybe $100 a month. And he set that $100 to just vanish into an investment account on autopilot.
Just skimming it off the top.
Right. And over a few years, without ever feeling like he was missing out, that small habit built up an incredibly solid safety net.
That is the power of quiet habits. Just turning on the lights. But let me ask you about the fear of time.
Time is the big one.
Yeah. Say someone is listening and they are in their mid-40s. They turn on the lights and they see that the account is truly at zero.
That is a very heavy feeling.
The shame that hits people in that moment is huge. It feels completely impossible. Like, the math can't work anymore. Is it just too late to start?
It feels too late, absolutely. The panic tells you the game is over, but the math says something completely different. It is a total myth that you can't build security later in life.
So the Mac actually still works?
It works beautifully. Let's say you are 45, starting from absolute zero. You turn on the lights, you cut the invisible waste, and you manage to find a few $100s a month to put away.
Let's say $500, just by trimming the fat.
Okay, $500 a month. You put it in a simple, boring, broad market fund. You let the global economy do the work. By the time you hit normal retirement age, that account could easily sit Well over $300,000.
Over 300,000 just from starting at 45.
Yes, because compounding growth still does the heavy lifting, even if the window is shorter.
That is incredible. And honestly, having 300 grand might not buy you a private island, but it buys you options.
It buys you dignity.
Dignity, yes. It buys you the difference between living in constant terror and having genuine breathing room.
Exactly. It is never too late to let the math work for you. The window shrinks, sure, but it never closes entirely.
Okay, so we understand the mindset, we understand the biology, the trust, and turning on the lights. Let's look at the actual habits, the quiet systems that build that fortress.
The environment design.
Yeah.
That is where the magic happens.
Yeah. I hear a lot about living on percentages. How does that work in a quiet wealth system?
The boring, secure way is to decide on a savings rate first, say 15%. You automate that out of your life the second your paycheck hits. And then you force yourself to live on whatever is left.
You fit your life into the remainder.
Right. And it brilliantly cures that lifestyle creep we talked about. Because when you get a raise, the percentage automatically takes a piece of that new money before your brain ever gets used to having it.
Oh, that is so smart. You never even feel the loss. It just hides it for you.
And another massive piece of environment design is dealing with free money, like at a job.
Oh, like a company match.
Yes. A workplace match is the only guaranteed immediate return you will ever see in your financial life. If your boss says they will match your savings and you say no, you are just refusing your own pay.
You are leaving part of your salary on the table.
It is one of the most destructive things you can do to your own future.
I completely agree. So once the saving is hidden away, how do these quiet habits apply to big spending, like cars? Because cars seem to be the ultimate trap.
Transportation is huge. It is usually the second biggest cost in any family. And genuinely wealthy people avoid the massive trap of new car status.
Because new cars drop in value so fast.
Instantly.
Yeah.
The second you drive it home, a massive chunk of your money is just gone. The quiet habit is pragmatic driving.
Pragmatic driving, I like that term.
Yeah, they drive slightly older, very reliable cars. And they don't do this because they can't afford the monthly payment of a luxury SUV.
Right, they could afford the payment easily.
But they refuse to tie up their money in something that is guaranteed to lose value, just for the sake of looking good at a red light.
Just for that visible prestige, it is the perfect example of quiet wealth over loud spending. And what about credit cards? That is another area where people get crushed.
It really is. The mindset shift here is fascinating. Secure people don't view a credit card as extra spending money. They don't use it to finance a life they can't afford.
So how do they see it?
They treat credit like infrastructure.
Infrastructure, like a tool.
Exactly. They protect their credit score fiercely, just so they can lower the cost of borrowing for the big necessary things, like buying a house.
Oh, because a good score saves you thousands on a mortgage.
Tens of thousands. Carrying a balance on a card, paying those huge interest rates every month, it is an absolute emergency. The quiet habit is using credit only to extract rewards and lower costs, never as a crutch.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, what about the friction in our daily lives? Modern life is so smooth, right? You can buy a TV with one tap on your phone while waiting for your coffee.
It is entirely frictionless, and that is by design. The companies want it to be as easy as breathing, so the quiet habit is deliberately adding friction back into your life.
Oh, I love this idea. How do you do that?
One of the best ways is the 24-hour rule.
I have tried this. It is actually really uncomfortable at first.
It is. Your brain is screaming at you to just click buy.
Yes.
Okay.
So how do you explain the rule to someone who hasn't tried it?
It is simple. Any purchase that is not strictly essential and over a certain dollar amount, say $50, requires a forced pause.
A 24-hour waiting period.
Yes. You step away from the phone or you walk out of the store. You physically break the connection between wanting the item and completing the purchase.
You decouple the dopamine rush?
Exactly. And the data on human behavior shows that almost all of those impulse buys are abandoned after a short pause.
Because you realize you didn't actually need the shoes, you just wanted the thrill of the transaction.
Friction is your best friend for saving and your worst enemy for spending.
And friction applies to those subscriptions too, the ones we talked about earlier. Companies rely on that lack of friction to keep you paying forever.
They do. They know that once you sign up for a free trial, the hassle of canceling means you will probably just keep it forever.
So you have to do audits.
Quarterly audits. You sit down every few months and ruthlessly cancel anything that has snuck into your life. You take the power back.
There is one more habit I want to touch on, and it honestly made me laugh when I first heard about it. It is about how we handle our money once it is actually invested.
Oh, I think I know where you were going with this.
The idea of who gets the best returns, you would assume the best investors are the ones watching the news, checking their apps, moving money around every day.
That is what the culture tells us.
But the reality is that the absolute best performing accounts over a long time belong to people who quite literally forgot they had them.
Or people who had passed away. It sounds like a dark joke, but it highlights a massive flaw in our thinking
Why is it a flaw?
because of how we feel pain. As humans, we feel the pain of losing money about twice as intensely as we feel the joy of gaining it.
Ah, so when the market takes a dip.
Panic sets in. You log into your app, you see red numbers, and your brain goes into full fight-or-flight mode.
You feel like a tiger is chasing you.
Yes. And you sell your investments at a loss just to make that terrible emotional pain stop.
But the people who forgot their accounts couldn't react.
Exactly. They just rode out the ups and downs. Quiet, boring patience beats active panic management every single time.
Okay, but I have to ask you about the emotional weight of all this. Setting up these walls, doing audits, waiting 24 hours, limiting your car choices, doesn't it start to feel like a cage?
That is the ultimate fear, that you are just depriving yourself of joy.
Yeah, like you are constantly telling yourself no.
If you look at it as a restriction, you will almost certainly fail. You'll feel deprived, and eventually you will just binge spend to make up for it.
Just like a crash diet.
Exactly like a crash diet. The shift happens when you stop seeing it as a cage and start seeing it as a map.
A map. I like that.
When you reframe financial discipline from being a sacrifice and you see it as gaining awareness, everything changes.
It becomes about freedom.
Yes. You aren't telling yourself no to a fancy new dinner. You're telling yourself yes to deep, lasting security.
Wealth isn't just a place you arrive at one day, it is a direction.
A direction you choose every time money flows through your hands. Discipline feels like punishment. Awareness feels like absolute power.
Awareness feels like power. That is such a clarifying way to put it. So if we pull all of this together, everything we've talked about today, real wealth is incredibly boring.
It is the most boring thing in the world.
It is quiet. It is on autopilot. It is not built by showing off for your neighbors with leased cars and fancy labels.
It is built by making a secure environment, having that buffer so you can actually sleep at night.
It is about letting your money grow in the dark rather than flashing it in the light.
And that leads me to a final thought that I think we all really need to sit with. We spend so much of our mental energy and our money performing for absolute strangers.
Oh, that is so true. We really do.
We buy highly visible things just to signal our success to people whose names we don't even know. People who honestly do not care about us at all.
It is the ultimate illusion.
But imagine what would happen to your own stress and to your family's future if you just stopped performing. What if you just stepped off that stage entirely?
The relief would be massive.
And what if, instead of showing off to strangers, you made your quiet habits visible to the people you actually love?
Like your kids or your closest friends?
Yes. Talk about the 24-hour rule with your kids when you are walking through the store. Tell your best friend how you put your savings on autopilot over coffee.
Because right now, the only thing the next generation sees is the loud spending. The quiet saving is totally hidden from them.
If you want to change the future for your family, you have to stop showing them how to spend and deliberately show them how to build.
That brings us right back to the beginning. The loud winner who gets millions and loses it all because they had no quiet systems, versus the invisible, incredibly boring person who builds an unbreakable wall of security, one quiet choice at a time. The real question isn't how much you make. The real question is, how boring are you willing to be?
These thoughts, these questions, they don't have to stop here. Geeks Mindset has many more podcasts and videos just like this one. Subscribe to the channel and explore other episodes. They all flow the same thoughtful way. If this podcast felt genuinely useful to you, share it with even one person in your life. That one share can bring a real change in someone's life. And it helps Geeks Mindset reach more people who truly need this. If this brought you real value, look for the join button right next to the Geeks Mindset logo below this video. Click it and become a member of the Mindset Support Circle. Your support helps honest mindset awareness reach thousands who are silently struggling. Geeks Mindset moves forward because of you. Thank you so much from the heart for being here.